part 2 of this tutorial. So today we are going to do a 2D animation in After Effects of our illustrated work. I'm going to actually show you guys how to transform from this guy to this guy as you saw in the original project video. So I'm going to still attach the project video down below so you can go and watch the video if you haven't watched the video yet. So you can also go and watch the part 1 of this tutorial to see how we got this. We showed it in details how to get this kind of flat design in Illustrator. So without wasting much of time, going into After Effects. So this is our After Effects. First and foremost, we have to create a new composition. Leave it at 1920 by 1080. That is our full HD. We say OK. So next up is we create a background. We can actually use for this tutorial purposes. So I'm going to use any background of my choice. Maybe this color. Maybe add some flavors to it, like ramp, dragging it to the layer, maybe give it something okay, maybe anything you want, like this. So you just something like this, actually just for the tutorial purposes. So you can actually choose the color background you want here, and I'm still going to show you guys how I did most of the background effects you saw in the video. So next thing is to get the beginning of the animation. You have to get this. If I will show you here, let's go back a bit. Yes, this, I call it Pi Effects. I'm going to show you guys how I did it. So to get it done, you have to first of all get an ellipse tool. Hold down shift and make a very big circle. Alright, align it to the center. So we'll right click on the shape and recompose the shape and maybe name it Pi. Okay, so select move attribute to a new composition, say okay. Alright, it's now giving us a new composition where we will work on our circle. So what you have to do next is try to animate our size of the circle. So open down content, ellipse, go to transform ellipse. So first we're going to do is we'll start our keyframe here. This is actually where it's going to end 100%. We move 10 frames by holding down Ctrl Shift forward key. Move our keyframe backward. Now go back again to 0. Maybe type in 0 here. So if you animate, it's now like regenerating. So to make it look more organic and natural, we can right click on our last keyframe and add in easy ease in. Open our graph editor and drag this all the way backward. So if we animate, now looks more organic and natural. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to apply an effect to it. It's called radial wipe. Alright, we're dragging our radial wipe to the circle. Okay, so we come to transition completion and type in 90%. Okay, so what we're now going to do is we choose if number we want our pi to be, the number of slides we want it to be, and then divide it by 360 to now give us the actual number we're going to be adding on each layer. So let me show you what I mean now. If I make our layers, if I try to divide like 10 times, like copy this our layer to 10 times, okay, so we now like bring our calculator here and type in 360 divided by 10. It's actually going to give us 36 each. All right, so what it means that in each of our layer we'll be adding 36 to it. So we'll add 36 here. In our second layer we'll add it another 36 to give us 72. So we'll add in 72 here. We go to our third layer and add in another 36. We add in our 108 here. Another layer, we add in another 36. Okay, when we are done with our calculation and all that, we can now do our next step. Let's try and move all these layers, each of them like 10 frames backward, starting from the first one. So we move in 10 frames, we'll try to move in this one backward, move in another 10 frames, try to move the second layer backward, move in the third frame, try to move the second layer, third layer backward. We go back to our main composition, you know, try to duplicate this actually, because in the video we actually used it 2 times. Okay, duplicate it here control by holding control D or option D. So our next thing is to import our files. So first of all, we have to go here and save our file by going to save as. All right, so we'll now choose the point we are going to save it, and actually saved it already though, so I'm not going to save it again. So let's go back and go to where I saved it and try to import them in my project. So we're going to drag this one first. So first of all, let me save this. Alright, so we're going to drag this one first. Alright, we leave everything the same settings. Composition, yeah, import kind, composition, footage dimension, we leave it at layer size. We say alright, so we bring the project here, so we'll do the second one. Okay, let me try and save this one too. Alright, so now sorry, drag it here too and also say okay. Okay, so when we are done, we will now drag first of all our Naruto layers down. So we try to move our pie inside the Naruto itself, Naruto layer. So it's too big for the layer because of we worked with it and the is not actually the same dimensions. So what we're going to do is we will hold down shift and try to reduce the size to fit the size of our head. Okay, so of this, it's really now fits in a bit. So we're good now. So next thing is to start our animation, or rather our transition. So what we're now going to do is, as the first pie completes its revolution, we want it to disappear and our face will now appear, the real face of our character. So what we're now going to do is, we shift these whole layers backward, so we're now bringing it, when we need them, one by one. All right. So first of all, we go to our head layer. All right. So this is our head layer. Okay. Or first of all, we can actually reduce the speed of this, because it's actually slow. 10 frames is actually very, very, very long. So to reduce the speed, you hold two of them and move to time and go to time stretch. You actually reduce it to, may say, 50% of this, okay, to 29.29 duration seconds. So we say okay. So when we now animate, is a bit faster now with what we actually want. So at this point here, this is where the animation actually ends. So we can now cut one of these pies here. Okay. So as we cut it, we'll try to move our head to the end of the point that cut off. So we play the animation. Uh, let's move this one a bit. Okay. So we'll see what we are doing. Okay. So we can now add an effect also to this pies also, called fill. So we drag fill onto it by double clicking on it or dragging it to it. So we can now select the first pie, okay, and get use our eyedropper tool to change it to this color. Okay, so when our head is, let's say, half done, let's from here start animating our second, or let's like from here start our second animation. Okay, so this second pie will now represent our headband or our head protector. So what we're now going to do also is to drag our head protector close. Okay, so what we're going to do next is try to change our head protector into a vector layer by right clicking and going to create shape from vector layer. So this vector layer will now help us to be able to manipulate it anyhow we want. So we can now delete this because we don't need it anymore. Yeah. So we can now, as this circle is right now, okay, so we would like our headband to be of the same shape. So first of all, we'll have to go to content, grouping. So here we'll keyframe here to get to our original point. So we can now go back and try to manipulate this and make it in a circular form, something like this. Try to make it in a circular form. So can add more of this and drag it down, more of this. Okay, and now play it, you see that it transforms back to the original form if we play it. So this is what we want, and that's nice. Okay, so we will now play the video. Okay, so it now seems that it's from change into circular form instantly. So what we're now going to do is we'll go to the last eye, click on our eyedropper tool and select the same color. So we will now play it. It's now now syncs with the animation. This is actually what we want, and it's working properly. So next step now is to add our hair. So let's assume that as the animation is moving at this point, we we try to start animating our hair, getting our hair to grow from the tip of the hair. So this is our hair. Let's figure out how to make it look nice. So let's assume that it started growing from maybe this smaller point and then due to form this large hair it is now. Okay, so to achieve that again, we need to convert the AI file into vector layer again. So we can now be able to manipulate it as we manipulated the other one we did. So we'll go to where the hair is. We delete this original one because we don't actually need it again. So as let's say at this point of the animation, let's assume here we go open our to file contents, go to grouping, open our path. Alright, let's first of all animate. This is the end point of our animation. So here we can now start our manipulation by maybe getting the stuffs here up at this point. Okay, so shoot, and you can now drag this all the way down. Alright, so okay, maybe drag it up to this extent, drag this one also down. So we will now play our animation. It's now we can actually okay. Alright, so wow, so we can now make it fast by maybe giving it some one, two, maybe moving it 5 frames closer so to look more fast. Now animate more faster. Alright, so we have achieved our main animation. So we can now work on the scars and the mouth. instantly. So this is actually what we did. So now to for the scar, we now maybe let it appear, find a better way to animate it. Or rather, first of all, let's go for the head shield. So drag our shield here at this point, okay, including our shade. So as it goes here, let's say we would like to get this stuff to 0. So click S in our keyboard to bring out our size. You can actually go 5 frames and keyframe this and come 5 frames, okay, maybe change this to 0, or maybe unlink this and use this, and let's say 0, okay. So when I play it, it now seems that it appears. So also we can drag this here, and you know this this the shades also appears on our head protector, which we don't actually want. So to try to get rid of these shades here, what we're going to do is we duplicate this head shield, okay, move it all the way up the to cover the head shade. So now click on the head shade and select our shade and I'll format it. If you don't see this on your own, you can click this to turn it on and off, okay. So we will now do our animation. It doesn't really appear till the object, till our head shield starts showing. It now appears. So we can actually do anything we want to do on the shade by maybe animating the shade a bit by maybe, let's say, position, animating the position. When it appears maybe at this point, we give a position to maybe, let's say this is the end point, alright. This is our end point. So at this point we can actually move it right here. At this point, move it backward, alright, something like this. At this point, maybe move it a bit like this. We can mark all these points and maybe ease all of them to get a more to get the animation more solid. And okay, so when we're done with this, we can now go, maybe we can ease this too, okay. So we can now be able to go to our scar, okay. So I had these scars made because in the video the guy had double appearance. He appeared when he was not angry and then became angry. Let's see. So, okay, so those scars actually changed here. So this is the reason why I made these scars here. Alright, so we have this one, and these two. We have this and this, and we have this. Okay, let's see. Okay, we have this and this. Alright, so first of all, to animate our scar, we have to select those skinny scars first. So to select those skinny scars, so here is our two skinny scars. So we can drag them closer, alright, to animation. So at this point, let's bring in our scars. Alright, sorry for that. Okay, so as it animates our scars appear, okay, we can actually give our scar a little animation. Alright, so what we're now going to do here is maybe at this one and this one, let's give them the same animation. Maybe scale by tapping S, and we pick our pen behind tool to maybe move our anchor point. You select one of the scar, move this anchor point down to this last point. Okay, select the maybe the second one, move the anchor point down to this last point. Okay, so when we now maybe the off this one without changing this. So what we're now going to do is we at this point we add our keyframes, you know, and come back here and make them 0. Make them 0. Okay, so now page like that, we can actually get a small variation here. Okay, get a slight variation and make the animation faster. Try to make the animation a bit faster here. Okay, and give it an easy escape effect. So now play our animation. It's actually different from how I animated it in the original video, but I'm showing you guys different ways you can make your character to look nicer, and all that matters here is the effects you apply to your project. That's what sells your project in After Effects, and that's what makes After Effects cool, because it makes us to think more and think different stuff and watch at people's project and try to know how we manipulate it to suit our own needs. Okay, so with this now I've actually achieved the first character animation. So to add more stuff here is to get our Konoha logo here, and maybe drag it here. Okay, so we'll now animate it. If we go back to our main comp and play the animation, it's now looks like this. So it's not like it's like the greatest animation ever, but it's still not bad either. It looks a bit nice to watch and other stuff. So as we are done here now, we will now import our second character. So we drag our Sasuke composition down. Okay, we will copy everything here. Okay, and come to our Naruto comp and paste it. Okay, so we can actually remove this, we don't need it anymore. Remove it. So we got our character here. Okay, so we open our character. Alright, so we now want to transit this guy. So to do this now, if you watch the video once again, you see how transition went. The head first of all came down. It's actually pretty, very pretty easy to do, and it's not complicated at all. Okay, so we'll show you it in a second. Very easy, and will take you less than 3 minutes to do. First, we go to our hair, we bring our hair close. After this one, the second hair. Okay, so you see how the hair went. So to change this hair, this yellow hair to this black hair, what we're now going to do is we'll go back to the original hair, the yellow one. Okay, we'll go back to our part and add our keyframe, to show the end of the all here, to make sure that nothing was animated all the way to this point. Okay, so at this point now, we start working on our hair again. We drag it down to this point. Okay, drag this one down to this point. Okay, drag this one down to this point. Drag it down to this point. Okay, so try to drag this one here, drag this one here. Okay, drag this one here and change it. Okay, drag this other one down all the way down to this point. Okay, we continue like this. Okay, so we've gotten it the way we want it to look like. So when we off this hair, we will see that the hair have actually changed dramatically. So this is the way we start. So okay, so let's drag this all the way down. Okay, so it will now like transit gradually. So when we off our hair, you see it actually drags down to this point. Maybe here we can edit it a bit to try to eliminate all this. Okay, just work on it a little. Alright, so this is now what we have. The next step is to try to change the color to black as it transforms to the other style of the hair, as the hair transforms. So maybe at this point, we'll go to our fill, alright, go to our yellow color, and at this point give our color a keyframe. So when we go to the end of the animation, we want it to be totally black like this. So if we now watch our animation, okay, see that it's actually transformed instantly to black hair without any much stress. So when we get to this point, we can now be able to cut off, maybe here, cut off our hair and then drag this hair all the way to this point. So at this point, what we now see is that the hair have transformed to what we need. Okay, so play it again. Alright, so next thing is to get our shield and hair protector to disappear, to go inside here. So at this point here, we'll select our head protector. First of all, we can parent all these things to our head protector. So and move all of them. So when we move the head protector, all of them will move at once. Instead of to be animating it differently, actually animate all of them once. Okay. So what we're now going to do here is we'll bring down our position by holding down P, getting the keyframe started here. So at this point, it starts going inside. Maybe at this point we want it to be completely off by moving it upward. Alright, so we will now play out. Okay, so a lot of stuff going on up here that we don't actually want. So to get this fixed, we can do some crazy stuff. We can maybe import a triangle. Okay, maybe draw a triangle at this point. Alright, so first of all, make sure that there is nothing selected. Draw a triangle at this point. Okay, so drag our triangle all the way down and use the same trick we used in eliminating the shadows, but this time we do our format invert. So now when it goes up, it only appears at this point, which we can fix down. Yeah, disappears completely from our, actually move the shape a bit upward. Yeah. So what we now have to do is get here to this point where it's showing, and go to our hair, like use you to bring out all our keyframes. Maybe go to pattern and try to push this backward. So check our animation. Okay. Push this backward a bit. Okay. cover this up again. Okay, so it's now gone. It's now gone completely. It's now gone completely. Okay, so we actually fixed it. So what's next? It's not all that is fixed. You can go in and fix the remaining stuff. Okay, let's see. Let's play it all the way frame by frame. Okay, it's fixed. It's fixed already. Maybe here we can try to bring down our hair a notch. Okay, Control C. Go here and use Control V to replace. Alright, so also fix some of our errors. So it's nice to be doing all this to see how to troubleshoot some of the errors you encounter when doing your animation. Okay, so next up is to eliminate this sky here. You can actually animate it backward as you animated it the other time, or try to find a different thing else. So let's just, so we can actually animate it reverse the way we animated it in, or we can choose a different animation, but for time purposes let's try and animate it back to the way we animated it in. Okay, as it appeared here at this point, let's see, as this is going down, let's copy this. Okay, do Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and copy this to Ctrl C and maybe a Ctrl V. So it now automatically disappears. So we do the same thing with the second one. Ctrl C, Ctrl V, move it, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. So we will now work our animation. Now looks like something great really happened. Alright, so at this point we can now add in our second hair, which is this one. So drag it all the way, maybe to the point where this one actually appeared. Yeah. Okay, so we have not gotten rid of our head. So to get rid of this our head, we can fix that by going to the head of this one, head, right? So as this point gets here, we can move our real head here. Okay, so we can change the color of our hair as it's an hair face as it's animating, so that it will suit with exactly the same color with this one, because they don't actually have the same complexion. So to get this down fixed also, we'll go to our head. Okay, let's first of all move it backward and let's create maybe a shape or something here. With nothing selected, create a shape here. Okay, use our eyedropper to select this color. So You know why I did this in a short while now. So why I did this is because if I click on this shape, we can actually change the color unless we add fill to it. And if you add this fill, it automatically change to red. And we can actually get this color back again. So to get the original color back again, we can now select this and get it to original color. So we don't need this again. We can delete it off. And at this point is where we really want this to appear. So sorry, we really want this to the head. We really want the next head to appear. So this is the head, right? So we to transform this first color to this one, we gonna do the same thing we did with we're gonna do the same thing we did with the hair. Go to our head, open it up, go to effects, go to fill. Alright, so here is the original color. Alright, so when it now comes to this point, we get this color. Alright, so what we now have to do is here. Alright, so let me know. Alright, so let's move this maybe here. Okay, so here, and we can now cut this off and move the hair back. Move the head right back and maybe move it a bit further back. So we will now play our animation. The face transformation is not okay, so we can maybe drag it back a bit. So we notice the transformation. Okay, so yeah, so now it looks nicer. Alright, so now it looks nicer as you would expect it to look. Okay, cool. So next up is now to get our eyebrows here. Okay, so at this point our eyebrows should start appearing. Also our eyes. Let's see what this is. Okay, our eyes, the lights. Okay, so in the video the eyes was short and open, so you can actually do those ones by going to the light, to the one of the eyes, press S in your keyboard, off this constraint proportion, and use this to animate the close, close and close and close and open the eye, close and open the eye. Okay, we can parent the light with the eye. Okay, parent it with the eye, so we can follow the eye anywhere it goes and whatever it does. So if we animate the eye, we also the eye light animates with it. So hold down the light and also attach it to this. So this is actually how I got the transition in all those animations, including from, if we play the video, from this guy now to this girl. Okay, so basically same thing, not no much difference here. Okay, so you can also be more creative on this if you are trying to do your own, try to get more stylish in your transformation to sell your project more. Okay, so at basically that's it. So in our next video, I think this is basically it for the 2D animations here. So in the next video, I'm really going to show you guys the 3D effects on this. So if you watch the video, we can see the 3D effects from the throwing of the shuriken. Okay, and this sword over here, this is basically 3D, 3D. So and this 3D animations utilizes an app called Video Copilot. Video is an app developed by Video Copilot called Elements 3D. Okay, so it's actually a plugin, and I bought it from Video Copilot. It's a very amazing app. In our next video, I will show you what it does. It actually eliminates the a problem of animating in Cinema 4D and importing in After Effects. So we can actually do all our 3D animation in After Effects, and I will show you guys how to achieve those kind of 3D animations using this Video Copilot. So you can actually download a trial version for it, and maybe you go, if you don't have the money to pay, or pay and get it. It's a very nice plugin to use as a graphic artist. And thank you guys for watching. Give this video a thumb up, and also share and comment. It helps a lot.